Okay, so now we're going to do a couple challenges with array methods, and these aren't too difficult. If you watch the past 3 or 4 videos, then you should be able to get this, at least one of them. So the first challenge is you can see we have an array of people, has a first name, last name, email, phone, and age. So the instruction is to take the people array and create an array called young people that stores objects with only a name and email property of all the people that are under 25 or 25 and under. And the name property should have their first and last name. So basically, we need to convert this into an array that has just a single name property with both their first and last name, and only the people that are over, 25 and under. Okay, and you should just have a name and email property. And again, the name should have both the first and last name. So that's what we want to get from this array. Here's the expected result. So if we console log young people, then we're only going to get these 3 because they're all 25 or under. You can see we have a name property. All right, so if you want to try that out, go ahead and pause the video and you can do it on your own. All right, so I'm going to copy this array so we can use this. And then let's come over here and let's paste that in. All right, so we need to, first of all, well, I mean, you can do this in a different order, and you can use different methods. I'm going to go ahead and filter out the young people, or I should say filter out the older people so that I only have young people. So let's say const young people, and we're going to set that to the people array. We want to filter through that, right? So in filter, let's pass in a function, and we'll say for each person, we want to return only if the person is less than or equal to 25. All right, so we can go ahead and console log that. Let's say young people and save that, and I get nothing. Let's see, what did I do wrong here? People.filter person. We want to return if they're less than, oh, I forgot the age. So I'm saying just person, which is the entire object. Of course, we want the age. And if we check it out, we get Jane, Sarah, and Jose. That looks correct. So Bob is 45, Jane is 25, so she's included. John is 30, he's not included. So it looks like we have them filtered down. Now, we still have all the properties. We want to narrow this down to only have a single name property with both first and last name and email. So what I'm going to do is chain on a map method here. So let's say map, and in here we're going to pass in the person. And remember, what I'm passing in here is going to be the return from this. So it'll be the filtered persons that I'm accessing here. And then I just want to basically rearrange it to just have the name and email. So I could do a couple things. I could do this and then use return the object, or since I'm just returning a straight object, I could put parentheses here and use my curly braces and do it this way and say name. And we're going to set that to the person dot first name, and then I'll just concatenate. You can use template strings if you want, but I'm just going to concatenate a space and then add on the person dot last name. And we also want the email, so we'll set email to person dot email. So we'll save that again, and let's see what we get. So now we have an array, and it only has the name and email, and the name has the first and last name. All right, so that's the first challenge. So the second challenge is to add all the positive numbers in the array. So here we have an array called numbers. It has both positive and negative. We want to be able to console log our variable that has our solution, and we should get 79. So 50 plus 20 plus 2 plus 7. All right, so you don't want to add the negative numbers. So again, if you want to pause the video and go for it, then you can do that now. So I'm just going to add a comment here. Say this is challenge 1. And then let's go down here and say challenge 2. So we have our numbers. Let's I'll actually just just grab this. Okay, we'll paste that in there. All right, so we want to be able to add, we want to add all these numbers. So let's create a variable here called positive sum. And again, we're going to be filtering out some stuff here. So let's say numbers, and I'm going to go on to the next line and filter. And what we want to filter, let's pass in our function and say for each number, we want to, let's say, we're going to say if the number is greater than 0. So that's the truth test, right? If the number is greater than 0, then it's going to get put into the array. Now, if we console log this, positive sum, I get 2, 50, 27. So right now we just have an array of the positive numbers. Now we need to get the sum of those. Prettier fixed this for me. I didn't want it fixed, but it's all right. Now I'm going to come down here and I'm going to use reduce to add them together. So remember, reduce is going to take in the accumulator or the initial value, and then the current value, and then we want to run our function, which is just going to take the accumulator and add on the current value, and we'll pass in 0 as the initial value. So now I'll save that, and there we go. We get the single value of 79. All right, for the next one, we're going to create, so we have this words array, coder, programmer, developer, all lowercase, and now we want to create a new array called capitalized words with the words from this array, but have the first letter capitalized. So this is the result that we should get. Okay, so shouldn't be too difficult. Let's go ahead and say challenge 3. And we want the words, so let's create that array first. So the words are coder and programmer, and these are all lowercase, and then developer. Okay, so now I'm going to create a new variable, just call it C words, so capitalized words. We want to set that to the original words array, and we want to map through, because that's what we want to do, is we want to map through and manipulate this and create a new array with the capitalized words. So this takes in a function. I'll use curly braces here and pass in word, because for each word we want to then return. And this is similar to a challenge we had, I think, in the first section, where I had you uppercase the first letter of a single word. Now we're doing it in an array. But what we did then was we used 2 uppercase. Now if I were to add 2 uppercase to the whole word, then and then let's return this, console log this C words and save, then all of the letters are uppercase, which we don't want. We just want the first one uppercase. So there's a few ways we can do this. We could use the char method here, or we could just use the index, because even though it's a string, we can still use the index to get a specific character, and we want to get the first character. So if I save that, now you'll see that we're just getting the first character and it's uppercased. Now we just want to add on, concatenate on the rest of the word. And we can do that with slice. Remember, if we take the word and we use dot slice, we can return a specific part of the word. And this goes by index. So I'm just going to put a 1 in here, not a 2, a 1. And that will get basically from the 1 index, which is the second, it starts at 0, and it will get that over, okay, from there on. Or you could pass in a second argument to where you want to go, which would be the entire length of the word. So I could say word dot length as the second argument. So if we save that, now you'll see we get coder, programmer, and developer, and we have the first word uppercased. All right, so that's it. In the next section, we're finally going to get into working with the document object model and actually doing stuff within the body of the web page. I know we've been doing a ton of console stuff, but I think that what we've been doing is really, really important for you to understand before we move on to button events and doing, moving things around in the browser or whatever. I think the fundamentals, including iteration and control structures and data types, that's all really, really important for you to understand. All right, so let's move on to the next section.